Partner, it's 23 degrees. People like to say good football weather. This is ice fishing weather. I don't know about you, but
where's our shack? That's what I want to know. We're going ice fishing.
It's 23 and windy. And again, it's a swirling wind as it is in almost every enclosed stadium. So it looks like it's, well, at this point, forget about it. It's just swirling.
It's really perfect for the Kansas City Chiefs. If you have to play Peyton Manning, these are the kind of conditions you would wish for.
Well, and it's swirling to the point, as you can see, the ball has not come off the tee twice. And once that happens, the officials will come in and say somebody's got to hold it down. There's the flags atop the stadium. Omar Bolden now comes in to hold it. And Barth, who actually started his career here in Kansas City in 08, had been with Tampa, will get things underway at Arrowhead with a kickoff that goes down to the 6-yard line. Niall Davis, who's the backup to Charles at running back, brings it back out to the 32-yard line. And let's take a look at the Kansas City offense.
Alex Smith, Utah.
Jamal Charles, Texas.
Anthony Sherman, UConn.
Dwayne Bowe, LSU.
Donnie Every, Houston.
Anthony Fasano, Notre Dame.
Eric Fisher, Central Michigan.
Mike McGlenn, Pitt.
Rodney Hudson, Florida State. Zach Fulton, Tennessee.
Ryan Harris, Notre Dame.
Kansas City keeps it simple, but they have a lot of different formations, different personnel groupings, and right now they're going to start DeAnthony Thomas, a running back, and they split him wide to the left. He's a rookie out of Oregon, and he comes in motion. They love to use him on the jet sweep, but this time it's play action, and Smith goes deep downfield and incomplete, intended for Donnie Avery, something that Alex Smith does so infrequently. That's only the 10th pass all season long he's even attempted that's gone 20 yards past the line of scrimmage. As a starting quarterback since 2011, and of course he started his career with the San Francisco 49ers, came here in a trade last year after Colin Kaepernick had won the job the prior year with the 49ers. 2nd and 10. And play action, a little screen to the left side, and it's a gain of 6 yards for DeAnthony Thomas, that 4th-round rookie from Oregon.
Well, you can just about forget about trying to get that guy on the ground. The rule is always you cut on the outside. Von Miller almost had that one, trying to go over his head. One of the great players in the NFL, Von Miller.
Miller and DeMarcus Ware make a tremendous tandem in terms of pass rush. 10 sacks for him this season. The leading sacker in the league is on the other side. Justin Houston of Kansas City comes in tonight with 13. 3rd and 5. Smith, good protection, and the pass is incomplete. Bowe looks around for a flag and doesn't get one. So the Kansas City Chiefs, a running team, start the game with 3 passes, and it's a 3 and out.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Almost like Andy Reid wanted to send a message right off the bat that, hey, we're not going to be just Jamal Charles. You're going to have to cover the entire field. They take their deep shot, but it really got him out of character a little bit. Now you're turning the ball over to Peyton Manning to start the game.
Dustin Colquitt, the older brother of the Broncos, Colquitt, with a short kick. If anything, that's into what would be a swirling but somewhat prevailing wind right now, and it's dead at the 26-yard line. Let's take a look right now at the Denver starters.
Peyton Manning, University of Tennessee.
C.J. Anderson, UC Berkeley. Demarius Thomas, Georgia Tech.
Wes Welker, Texas Tech.
Emmanuel Sanders, SMU.
Virgil Green, Nevada.
Ryan Clady, Boise State.
Orlando Franklin, the U.
Will Montgomery, Virginia Tech.
Manny Ramirez, Texas Tech. Luis Vasquez, Texas Tech.
And they've shifted that offensive line around. Vasquez, longtime guard, moved to right tackle, and then Ramirez, who had been the center, moves to right guard, and the ball is blown away. So the crew has to respot it now at the 26-yard line. When these teams met in Denver in week 2, the temperature was 85. Crowd already roaring, as they always do at Arrowhead. And then working his way through the middle is C.J. Anderson for a gain of 5. Peyton Manning has had great success against Kansas City, whether he's been in a Colt uniform or a Bronco uniform. 10-1, 7 straight wins. So he has owned this team. He's 5-0 against them since he came into the AFC West in 2012 with Denver. 2nd down and 4. And to the outside, and with a big hole, C.J. Anderson. Started the year as a number 3 running back, tackled by Houston. Anderson, 2nd year back out of Cal. That's a gain of 16.
You know, C.J. Anderson now has just been ridiculous since he's been given the opportunity. Really the 3rd back, 27 for 167 yards here in the game last week. That's almost as many as he had in his career. The problem is now, how do you get him out of the lineup? What happens when Ronnie Hillman and Monte Ball come back?
Broncos employ an extra offensive lineman here on 1st and 10 from the 48-yard line. And they feed him again. And this time he gets to the 50-yard line, gain of 2. Here's the KCD.
Jay Howard, Florida.
Dontari Poe, Memphis.
Allen Bailey, DU.
Justin Houston, Georgia.
Joshua Maga, Churchill County High School.
James Michael Johnson, Rodriguez High School.
Tamba Ali, Penn State.
Philip Gaines, Bryce University.
Ron Parker, Buford High School. Hussein Abdullah, Washington State.
Sean Smith, Pasadena.
Smith, outstanding corner. Should see a lot of action tonight. Philip Gaines, though, will see more because he's the rookie on the other side. And once again, Anderson on the ground, gain of 2 to the 48-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 6 for Denver.
So many really interesting matchups to talk about in this game, but here Kansas City comes with the substitution, and for the first time all game, Peyton Manning goes to the hurry up, but he's got a receiver on the wrong side, so it didn't really do him any good.
Gets the call from Adam Gase, the offensive coordinator. Of course, it's a hurry up that often has the ball snapped within 10 seconds on the play clock, as is the case here. After Manning goes through all the gesticulations, and the pass is caught, and that's Emmanuel Sanders in his first year as a Bronco, having a spectacular season after some good years in Pittsburgh. He's really blossomed now with Manning on the other end.
Well, we got a couple of big matchups on the outside. Tamba Ali on the left-hand side against Ryan Clady. Nice job there. Justin Houston on the other side with the new tackle, Luis Vasquez, out there. You give Peyton Manning time. And I haven't seen anybody all year that covers Emmanuel Sanders.
Over 1,000 yards this year. Of course, you've got Demaryius Thomas. You've got Julius Thomas not playing tonight. Wes Welker. He's got some great guys to throw to, and this is a 7-yard pickup here for C.J. Anderson. Broncos last couple of weeks, you think about them, of course, with Manning and the great receivers as a passing team. At St. Louis, they threw the ball 56 times and lost. Then last week, almost perfect balance, and stayed with the run even when they were down in the 4th quarter.
You know, this is a different looking Denver Broncos offense. And if they can run the football like this, as the Miami Dolphins found out last week, it's very difficult to get any kind of pass rush on Peyton.
2nd down and 2.
Okay.
And already the 6th carry, and that time, Ali says enough of this. Tamba Ali right there. Loss of 4.
Yeah, it's a lot easier when the block doesn't happen. Supposed to come out here and kick him out. Orlando Franklin ran right by Tamba Ali, and Tamba Ali ran right into C.J. Anderson. I don't think C.J. saw it coming either.
3rd down and 6 now. They send Anderson wide left as Manning goes 5 wide in this set. Then he brings Anderson back in. And then he looks over at the bench with the play clock at 1 and says, give me a timeout. So looked over the defense, had him spread out, brought CJ in and says, I'll go to the bench for a second. The Kansas City defense, since 2013 when Andy took over, outside the AFC West, 15-3, but against the Chargers and the Raiders, 3-3. And against the Broncos, 0-3 with 28.7 points per game allowed.
Yeah, they are a different defense. You know, you just wonder, okay, Denver came out and they ran the ball against Miami, and you go, okay, it makes sense. Miami's pass rushers, Cameron Wake, those guys down there. So, but they're not going to really do that all the time now, are they? Well, maybe they are. I mean, the way that since they have moved this offensive line, Manny Ramirez and Luis Vasquez outside on the right side, they've become a very powerful run team to that side.
And we'll see what they do here on a 3rd down and 6 with Anderson flanking Manning. 4 receivers go out, and the pass is pulled in by Thomas for a touchdown. Demaryius Thomas beating Sean Smith, and that will still the crowd on a 3rd down and 6. Fine catch, looking up, making it on a 3rd and 6 for 24 yards.
You know, this is what Kansas City did in the past against Peyton Manning. They wanted to blitz. They wanted to bring that all-out pressure and then trust on the back end that they could stay with them. There's Sean Smith, a 6'3" cornerback going against the bigger Demaryius Thomas, and they lose again. They have been less about pressure this year. They rolled the dice there and got burned.
Demaryius Thomas's 10th touchdown reception of the season. Connor Barth scores his first point as a Denver Bronco. And in less than 5 minutes, 8 plays, 6 runs, they have the lead. 7-0 Denver. Andy Reid, so many years in Philadelphia. A lot of success there. Got him to 1 Super Bowl, but no Super Bowl titles. And trying to see if he can do it in Kansas City. And Connor Barth's second kick. The wind is a crosswind from the 7-yard line. Davis again. And nice run back, and he keeps on chugging. Gets it all the way out to the 36-yard line. So here comes Smith. They had the ball once, 3 and out. They have it again now. Jamal Charles picks up a couple. Let's meet the Denver defense.
Derek Wolf, Cincinnati.
Sylvester Williams, North Carolina.
Terrence Knighton, Temple Owls.
DeMarcus Ware, Troy.
Vaughn Miller, Texas A&M.
Steven Johnson, Kansas. Brandon Marshall, Nevada.
Bradley Roby, V, Ohio State University.
TJ Ward, Oregon.
Raheem the Dream Moore, UCLA.
Chris Harris Jr., Kansas Jayhawks.
Again, a defense that's missing Aqib Talib tonight. He is out. And coming up to make the tackle there, DeMarcus Ware. John Elway made some big moves in the offseason, 3 of them defensively, and the acquisition of Ware was one of them.
Marcus Ware looked good on this one, didn't he? Right off the back end here. Anthony Fasano trying to block him. There's just no way. And what a combination they've become. DeMarcus Ware with 9 sacks on that side and Von Miller with 10 on the other. And you think, okay, you got those pass rushers out there. We're just going to go ahead and run the football. Well, they're pretty good against the run, too.
3rd and 8. Blitz coming. Ward coming through the middle, and he's going to go down with Ware as well. So T.J. Ward, and we talked about John Elway going out and acquiring Ware and Ward, 2 of them right there, and Talib would have been the other.
A lot of moving parts to the linebackers this year for the Denver Broncos, so they're most comfortable with T.J. Ward as safety coming down and playing there, and DeMarcus Ware just missed his 10th sack, but T.J. Ward there to clean it up. He's a very versatile guy, able to play that linebacker position and safety full time.
13-yard sack. Colquitt's second kick, much better than his first. Burse is there, the rookie from the 30. Isaiah Burse across the 50 to the 48-yard line, run back at 22. So another 3 and out for Kansas City. Denver gets it back with Manning at the helm, and the Broncos on top 7-0 at Arrowhead. Well, Peyton Manning He's already etched his name into the record book in so many categories. One more maybe to come before the end of the season. Johnny Unitas had that 47-game streak that lasted forever. And then a couple of years ago on a Sunday night, Drew Brees went by that. That streak ended at 54. Brady almost got there. Tom ended his at 52. And Manning right now is at 51. So if he throws one in every game through the rest of the season, he'll break it in the closing game of the season in Denver against Oakland. 51 straight. And he starts on the Kansas City side of the 50. First down at the Chiefs 48. And we'll establish the ground game again. Breaking a tackle. Anderson swings to the outside. Forced out at the 43-yard line. You know, you go back, it's almost like Back to the Future, even though it's a different system and all of that. But with Mike Shanahan and Alex Gibbs there for so many years in Denver, the head coach and the offensive line coach, they could seemingly plug in anybody and they gained 1,000 yards. Now they lose Monte Ball. He's out for a while. They lose Ronnie Hillman. They bring in Anderson, second-year guy, and all of a sudden he looks like Terrell Davis.
Yeah,
well, not quite, but
not quite.
You get the point.
But they also shifted that offensive line, and that has really helped.
2nd and 5. Here he goes again. And this time, right there to make the tackle is Jay Howard, the third-year guy out of Florida.
What a play by Jay Howard. The double team was on him. He gets off of both of them and comes in and makes the tackle in the backfield right here. Watch this play. Double team him, throws him off right in the backfield. That's tremendous.
3rd and 5 now. Manning's thrown 2 passes, and Anderson has run the ball 8 times. And Manning throws, and that's caught. Thomas makes the catch, and he gets the first down. Needed 6, got 7. Demaryius Thomas.
I asked Peyton Manning whether or not he would stay away from Sean Smith because he's their best corner. And he kind of went, what? like, do you know I've got Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders on the outside? I said, no, we're not staying away from anybody. And so far in the key situations, it has been his guy on the outside, Demaryius Thomas, who has been on quite a streak this year.
Well, something you don't see a lot from Denver, huddling. And one of the reasons would be this ballpark, as loud as it gets. Another would be the running game here. Anderson inside the 30 and out of bounds of just about the marker. We'll see if they give enough for the first down.
One of the really big moves this team has made is to put Luis Vasquez out at tackle. They've been having all kinds of problems at that right tackle position. And Adam Gase, the offensive coordinator, was telling me after one game out there, he came to him and he said, Coach, just run the ball to the right side. We will make it work. And Adam Gase said, okay. They've been doing it ever since. He has done a job on some of the best pass rushers in the game and now proving himself as a run blocker as well.
So now he empties the backfield. Here comes the blitz. The pass has gotten away quickly, but incomplete. Hits the ground. Andre Caldwell, the intended receiver. And it will be 2nd down and 10 for the Broncos.
The Kansas City Chiefs have to take some chances on the early downs. Bob Sutton, their defensive coordinator, saying it's just too difficult to get these guys off pattern with their offense, that they just will go down and they end up 3rd and 2 all the time. So you have to take some risks. That time they brought some pressure, got the early incomplete pass.
2nd and 10. Manning down the sideline, reaching up, and he can't one-handed. Demaryius Thomas. The one-handed catch, of course, in the NFL these days is nothing to it. That time he couldn't hold it in.
We've seen it on both sides of the field, so clearly we have a matchup now. The 6'3" Sean Smith going against Demaryius Thomas, their big receiver. And Demaryius Thomas, what a streak he's been on. 7 straight games he had of 100 straight games. Broken last week, just 87, but he had 3 touchdowns and already another touchdown here tonight.
3rd and 10. Play clock at 3. Blitz again. Manning throws, caught. Wes Welker had to turn back to make the grab and picks up the first down. Covered there by Kurt Coleman. So Welker out of the slot for a gain of 13.
Right there we go. And I believe that's Chris Owens who's getting his opportunity, but he's going against one of the really crafty players in the game. And remember, it was Wes Welker who was suspended in that first game and a non-factor. Comes back against one of the backups, the guy Chris Owens, who's been out 5 of the last 6 games with a knee injury, and they attack him.
Broncos 4 for 4 on 3rd down. From the 14, a little toss. Anderson cuts it back, takes it to the 10, gain of 4. Tackled by Dontari Poe. Strength on strength here in the red zone. Denver is very proficient, second best. Get into the end zone 3/4 of the time, and the Chiefs are second best in defending against the touchdown from the red zone.
You know, only 2 rushing touchdowns allowed by this Chiefs defense. Unfortunately, they were both in the game last Thursday night against the Raiders, and that got them beat. Team without a win beat them that night.
2nd and 6. Anderson already has 50 yards on the ground. Little fake look. Oh, and then Sanders gets ripped by Justin Houston. Makes the catch, and Houston is right there.
What a great play design, first of all. They're going to go in motion and then pick this guy coming down the field. What they didn't factor in was Justin Houston reading it all away and almost decapitating Emmanuel Sanders here. That was perfectly designed, perfectly executed, and just a great play by a great player.
Great job holding on to the ball. 3rd and 11 from the 15. See if Denver converts again. They're 4 for 4 on 3rd down. Blitz again, pass over the middle, and they will convert for a touchdown. C.J. Anderson. So Anderson catches the pass into the end zone. He goes. He's already rushed for 50 yards. Both touchdowns coming on 3rd down, and he takes this one in on a reception.
Justin Houston can do a lot of things, but he's not going to cover a back out of the backfield like C.J. Anderson. They tried to bring pressure, figuring they can just quick match against their outstanding young running back, but C.J. Anderson is just proving to be too tough tonight in all areas of the game.
That's his 2nd receiving touchdown of the season. Connor Barth to add the 14th point. And with 1:58 to go in the opening quarter, hot start on a cold night for Denver. 14-zip. Kansas City, where it's 14-0, and Denver with 122 yards, and Kansas City nary a first down and -6 in yardage. Connor Barth will kick off, and DeAnthony Thomas is back to receive. From the 7-yard line, Thomas looking for room down the sideline, and then bumped out of bounds into the Denver bench. So here comes Smith. KC still looking for that first down, already down by 2 touchdowns in Arrowhead. John Elway, of course, going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, his first year of eligibility, and the way his administrative career has begun and is continuing to ascend. Could go in as an executive someday.
He and Ozzie Newsome, huh?
Yeah. Good comparison. From the 31-yard line, Kansas City with Charles, and he can only gain a couple of yards, tackled by Derek Wolfe. So Smith, 10th year in the league. You give him the lead, and he's been pretty good this year, really good. And when the game is tied, he hasn't been bad either. But
okay, neither one of those apply.
Right, when he's been trailing, he's thrown 4 interceptions. 3 of those picks, by the way, came on opening day. He's only thrown 1 interception since the first game of the season when they were upset by Tennessee. 2nd and 8. Pressure on. He has to get it away because he had DeMarcus Ware charging in that time. 3rd and 8.
You know, they're trying to set up the screen pass, so you got Alex Smith trying to give ground here a little bit, but he gets around Ryan Harris so fast, and for Alex Smith, he had Von Miller coming right in his face, and then Ware coming around the top. He couldn't step up. He wanted to, he just couldn't. He is taking some shots already in this game.
He's 1 for 4 for 5 yards. A little over a minute to go in the opening quarter. Here they come again, and there he goes down again. So the blitz is on. You got Quentin Carter coming in. Ware is there as well. 3 and out on their first 3 possessions, and still no first downs for this team with the quarter almost to an end.
Quentin Carter coming right in the gap. Nice job of design there by Jack Del Rio. Sends all his guys down inside, the outside rusher around, and there's nobody there to block Quentin Carter. Woo, what a start for Kansas City, huh?
4th down, and this will be Colquitt's 3rd punt of the game. Some movement up there.
Got him to jump, but it doesn't make any difference at this point.
Full start, number 43, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
That's the center, that's Thomas Gafford.
All right, let's watch the center. Here we go. Yeah. A little too much. I mean, I could see, I would have saved that move for when it was about 4th and 4, huh?
It's a crosswind that he kicks into. And going over to the 31-yard line is Isaiah Burse. Gets tackled at the 33. So, Chris, when you look at the standings, we mentioned how important this is for Denver to stay on top. San Diego would be a game back, but also with Green Bay knocking off New England today. Now Denver's right back in the mix for the potential #1 seed in the AFC overall.
Yeah, and they have to go to San Diego next week. San Diego looked great today in that one. So all of a sudden what looked like a foregone conclusion that New England was going to have home field advantage, and New England never loses at home, so they're going to be in the Super Bowl, is on a little shakier ground here.
And for Kansas City, you can't overemphasize the importance of this game. They'd be 2 back of Denver if they lose and would have lost both head-to-head, so you might as well be 3 back in effect. If they win the game, you've got a 3-way tie in the AFC West. And right now Denver has the ball and the lead on what might be the final play of the opening quarter. And it's an 8-yard gain for a guy who's had a heck of a quarter, one C.J. Anderson, who ends the quarter with 56 yards on the ground. End of 1, it's Denver 14, Kansas City nothing. Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. Second and 2 from the 41-yard line as the Broncos begin the second quarter with a run, much as they went through the first quarter with Anderson this time stopped at the line of scrimmage for no gain, 3rd and 2.
I'll tell you though, this has been a dominant performance so far, and it has been this 6 offensive lineman look. Right out here is Paul Kornick, who is essentially playing the other tight end position. But it has been the right side, Luis Vasquez, Manny Ramirez, and the new center, Will Montgomery. This offensive line looks so much better than what they did early in the season. It was a gutsy move by Adam Gase and John Fox, but it's really paying off right now.
They're already their 21st play, 12 of them have been runs. You can make it 13 right now, but Kansas City comes up with a stop, and boy, they needed one. Last thing in the world they needed is another long Denver drive, already trailing by 2 touchdowns.
Well, as soon as I brag on him, it was Justin Houston able to jump inside the block here of Vasquez and make this play. Remember, they're having to play out here without Eric Berry, Derek Johnson, 2 of their star players, and I'm sure Eric's sitting in Atlanta, I believe he is, and cheering hard for his guys.
Well, Britton Colquitt, the younger of the brothers. Daddy Craig, of course, punted for Pittsburgh back in the 70s and owns 2 Super Bowl rings. Thomas is back, and he makes the catch and pays the price. At least he holds on to the ball. Omar Bolden right there to smother him and force Kansas City to start its drive from back at the 9-yard line.
I was wondering what DeAnthony Thomas was thinking, because Bolden was sprinting down the field and had him right in his sights. Lucky to hang on to that ball. That would have been one of those very easy to fumble. Gutsy catch. He is a track champion and a guy who can do some explosive things in this Kansas City offense when they need it most, but Bolden said not on this one.
So the fewest yards for any team this season in the NFL, -10 on the 9 plays in the first quarter. So that offense less than stagnant, and we'll see what the adjustments they can make on the fly here as Smith begins this drive from the 9. So now you've got a penalty. First time we've heard from Walt Coleman tonight. And because a player went out of bounds on his own is the call.
So in other words, they're not going to let you gain the advantage of sprinting down the sideline where they can't block you out of bounds. So once you get knocked out, you have a duty to immediately get back into the play. And on the other side, it's Andre Caldwell who used that advantage and then stayed out of bounds for a few steps, and they're not going to let you do that. So it takes away a brilliant play by Omar Bolden.
Okay, one thing to be pushed out, forced out, another to try to gain 10, 15 yards as he did. So instead of pinning them at the 9, let's see where they do wind up here. For the moment, the wind is in that direction, and now you've got a fake, and the 50-yard line goes David Bruton for a first down. They needed 7, and David Bruton on a trick play keeps the ball for the Denver Broncos.
Great job by Corey Nelson, the outside linebacker. This is just an audible. They liked what they got. Got that hook block taken care of, and now you wish you'd have taken it on the 9-yard line. Boy, that came out of nowhere, didn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant call. It's nothing better than having a 14-0 lead make you a little braver as a coach, too, John Fox. You loved it.
Yep.
You got to be careful about hugging guys with helmets on, though. Every once in a while, they'll plant that face mask right in your chops. Well, he looks good, doesn't he?
Much better.
Yeah, after all that scare he had last year, and says his energy is way up. He's really having fun coaching.
Not falling asleep after he eats either.
Yeah, he's a little bit dangerous there for a while.
Peyton wants the play clock reset, and he does get that. Meanwhile, Bruton last year had a fake punt. Good for 35 yards in Denver's game against Jacksonville, so it's something he's done before. And the Broncos now begin this drive at the 49-yard line. And Anderson to the outside. He's able to get around the corner for a gain of 4.
Well, here's the look we've been talking about. Paul Cornick, the 6th offensive lineman. Big movement on the right side by Manny Ramirez and Luis Vasquez. On the left side, Orlando Franklin, who used to be a right tackle. They move him over to left guard, and he has been one of their better players this year. I think they considered moving him back to right tackle, but I think after all this time and all this fuss over the right tackle position, they finally have the right guys in the right spot, and it's really paying off.
2nd and 7. Thomas waving with the orange gloves. You can't miss him. And then the pass is floated in the direction of C.J. Anderson. They'll spot it at the 46, and Peyton will lead him to the line with a 3rd down and 5 next.
But at least they're getting a hit or two on Peyton now. I think that was Tamba Ali who was, no, it wasn't, able to come up and end up with at least a little pressure. No matter, even if you don't get the sacks on Peyton, you have to hit him a few times, and they hit him there.
Broncos had made their first 5 3rd down conversions, missed on the last one. Then had the fake punt to keep the ball. And Manning chased from behind, able to get it away, and it's caught by Sanders at the 31-yard line. Chased by Ali. Manning throwing a wobbler, which he's been prone to do, of course, over the past few years, but right on the money. First down.
He was trying to get the ball to Sean Smith initially. I mean, out to Demaryius Thomas. He was covered by Sean Smith. And so then Peyton just had to make a play. Scrambles around under great pressure from Tom Ali and converts. There's Sean Smith on the coverage, and that's where Peyton wanted to go initially.
There's Walker inside. This is Juwan Thompson now. See, he would have been the number 4 back at the beginning of the season. He's a rookie. He's from Duke. In fact, Peyton and Eli and the guys a lot of times go down to Duke and work out there with David Cutcliffe in the offseason. And so he's gotten to know Juwan Thompson through his travels down to Durham.
Try to imagine how hard it would be for a rookie to get all the stuff in this offense, all these audibles that Peyton wants to throw at everybody.
2nd and 4. Here's Thompson again. And he's able to work his way to the 22-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and 1 for Denver.
Well, Davis, I keep thinking about him now that you brought up his name. But, you know, when John Elway won his 2 Super Bowls, it was the running game that came about and started to lead the way. And it wasn't all John Elway having to carry the load. And now Peyton Manning, late in his career, maybe John Elway learned that lesson well.
They go very deep in that offensive backfield. C.J. Anderson, Juwan Thompson were the top 2 guys on the shelf with injuries. Here's Thompson again. This time he tries to back his way for a 1st down, but they're going to spot it just short. What do you do if you're John Fox right here? You got 4th and a half a yard. Do you make it a 3-possession lead, or do you try to put your foot on their neck?
New kicker here.
Yeah.
Tough conditions.
You got a crosswind.
The way I've been running the football, I wouldn't have any fear at all, although the Chiefs could make a stand here. Of course, you always have to worry about the hard count coming here as well, but if they could make a stand, maybe the tomahawk chops start coming out from these fans.
4th and 1. You've got C.J. Anderson back in the game in the backfield. And they give it to him. He goes to the outside. He's going to get that 1st down and a lot more as he takes the ball to about the 9.5-yard line. 1st and goal.
Pulling around here and getting this kick out block on the backside. Everybody wants to crash down inside, but I tell you, this C.J. Anderson has a nice little lateral jump step, doesn't he? He looks like he's going to be up in the middle, then basically backs up a little bit with that jump step and is able to get out around the edge. Pretty gutsy run for a 4th down run.
1st and goal. Now Manning comes up in the pistol for the 1st time. 8 minutes to the half. Each time they failed to convert on 3rd down, they've converted on 4th. Anderson again. And Anderson is out of bounds at the 4-yard line. 2nd and goal.
Do you know how impossible it's going to be to stop this Denver offense if they can run the football like this? We saw this against the Miami Dolphins a week ago. Cameron Wake and Olivia Vernon, all those guys are such great pass rushers, but they never got a chance to get going because Peyton just kept hammering them with this run game. And now all of a sudden you can go to play action. Defensively, there's just not much you can do.
Already 101 ground yards tonight. Play action, and then it's incomplete. It's off the hands of Jacob Tamme. With Julius Thomas not playing, Tamme and Virgil Green are the tight ends. Tamme is a guy that Peyton knows real well. Of course, they played together with the Colts.
This was a gimme right here. They jump out on this outside receiver, and Jacob Tamme just tried to sit down in the hole. And I think Peyton thought he was going to keep coming, had to throw it around Justin Houston, and he can't believe he stopped. That was the mistiming part of that.
It's a 3rd and goal. And the Broncos right now look like they are going to talk it over.
Has Kansas City had the ball yet? Feels like this has been a Peyton Manning show.
3 and outs. Take a timeout here. 3rd and goal. Frigid night. Game time temperature 23. Probably a couple degrees below that right now. Crowd hasn't much to cheer about. And right now the Denver Broncos with a 2-touchdown lead have a 3rd and goal from the 4 after taking a timeout. To the end zone and through the hands of Thomas. Demaryius Thomas in the back of the end zone. Couldn't collect it, and so the Broncos have to settle for a field goal try.
Wow, I don't think I've seen very many of those out of Demaryius Thomas. This one was thrown perfectly up over the top. Big receiver, let him go up and make the play in the back of the end zone. Somehow just lost track of that ball. He can't believe that one. That's his guy.
Well, Connor Barth, who was just signed this week, Prater was suspended, then they released him. McManus took over, and then Barth, who started his career here, kicked for 3 years at Tampa, was out of the NFL last year with an injury, is able to bang it through on his first attempt as a Bronco to make it Denver 17, Kansas City nothing. And the run back here is Albert Wilson. Well, Kansas City's offense, and here's Jamal Charles. He's one of the best in the league. Comes to rushing, 5.20 yards per carry when he goes outside the tackles. Between the tackles, still pretty terrific. Almost 5 yards per carry. And catching the ball between the numbers, 14 for 156. But tonight, they haven't done anything yet. 3 three-and-outs. First time they've had the ball here in the second quarter. Smith trying to get something started. And that pass is caught by Dwayne Bowe. And you see where forward progress is marked very close to a first down. And they'll put it at the 41 and give him a first down.
It doesn't surprise me. They've been struggling. Doug Peterson, their offensive coordinator, basically telling me, even though Dwayne Bowe doesn't have a touchdown, he's the emotional leader out there. He's a guy that when he gets going, it tends to get the team going. Maybe they can get him to back off and give Jamal Charles some room to run.
Finally get a first down. Here's Charles. And he's able to get out of the backfield with some nifty and shifty running, and then finally stopped there by Steven Johnson after a gain of 6.
I mean, how many tackles does he make people miss here? I mean, these are clean shots coming across on Jamal Charles. You get Brandon Marshall, misses the first one. That was Bradley Roby, misses the second one. This guy, when you watch him play, he takes more steps per 5 yards than just about anybody playing the game, but the balance and the vision, just incredible.
To the outside again, and this time he gets spilled just short of the first down. Coming up is T.J. Ward. Played last year with the Browns, picked him up in the offseason, big offseason acquisition. It'll be third down and a short one.
And he is the hitter. He comes in and plays linebacker, and that was just one-on-one stuff right there. T.J. Ward, the hole opened up. It's his job to come down there and fill it. Not many people can make that one-on-one tackle. That was nice.
Ball just across the 50-yard line. Charles takes the toss. Ooh, and runs into a log jam at the line of scrimmage. So they stop him there, and it's fourth down and a short one. So the punting unit starts to come on the field. I don't know, does Andy gamble here? We're down by 17. Ball in midfield.
You have to be a little bit realistic. They were trying to get the crackback going and get to the outside. There's big Mitch Unrein in there, who hasn't played a ton this year. It looks like now they really have no choice, do they? At the very least, you go hard count here, take your shot. But when you got a running back like Jamal Charles, you have to be able to do this.
You would think.
Be careful, big 98, Terrence Knight and pot roast in there.
First.
Well, they're going to take a timeout. So timeout, Kansas City. Well, Kansas City took that timeout, and they're going to align here with Charles in the backfield. Sherman comes in at fullback.
extra offensive lineman, and Donald Stevenson. But so far tonight, this game has been incredibly one-sided. The Broncos defense has been whipping them on almost every snap. They have to win this one. This Chiefs offensive line has to win here.
Charles, and a big conversion. Keeps on going, and that gives the crowd the charge that they needed. First down. I mean, this is about as noisy a place as there is in the league. This place in Seattle, but finally something to cheer about.
Well, the extra offensive line now is working for Kansas City. Right here is Donald Stevenson comes in as their 6th offensive lineman, gets a good push there, and that's what enabled him to pick up that first down. But watch Jamal Charles finish this run here. That's a clean shot right there by Raheem Moore. And Jamal Charles, not a big guy, but he runs big.
Miles Davis is now in as the running back, and Smith throws, and that is taken in at the 20-yard line by Travis Kelce, the tight end.
Say what you want about Alex Smith. That was some throw. Kelce's going to come on a crossing route, but he was in serious traffic here. Nice tough catch. He thought he maybe was going to take that shot, but Al, there's one of your throws 20 yards down the field. That one worked.
Yep. So few throws this year. Actually, just a little short. It was good for 19.
Oh,
at the 20. And here's Smith, and that will be taken in for a touchdown. Anthony Fasano. So they gambled on 4th down at midfield. Charles got the first down, and then a couple of passes to the 2 tight ends, and into the end zone they go.
The play action influenced Steven Johnson just enough to allow Fasano to get in behind him, and for Alex Smith, 2 tremendous throws. Both of those throws were within inches of exactly where he wanted them to be, and boy, did they need that drive. Here's a team playing for everything tonight, and they had come out and just laid an egg, and their quarterback and Jamal Charles just woke them up.
69 yards, 7 plays, big 4th down conversion. Extra point here by Cairo Santos is good. Chiefs still do not have a touchdown reception by a wide receiver this season, but another one by a tight end. That's Fasano's 4th, and they're back in the game at 17-7.
After the play was over, personal foul, number 79 of the kicking team. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
And here it was. Stevenson and Malik Jackson right there. Jackson on the ground, and that cost him 15. And what it means is that the kickoff now will be from the 20-yard line.
That's all you need to give Peyton Manning a little advantage on a drive, huh?
Yeah. Kicking off into a crosswind, wind blowing from our side of the field as you look at the field. Across the way, and it's a short kick, and it's going to be fielded up at the 26-yard line and run back to the 42-yard line by Cody Latimer. Bronco receivers, 100-yard receivers in a game. You go back to last year when Eric Decker was there, and Demarius and Julius and Emmanuel, and then you got a couple of them each with 100 or more yards game after game after game. Sanders in week 12, 13 straight games with a 100-yard receiver. That's the longest streak in the history of the league. Tonight, however, their leading receiver just 23 yards. That would be Demarius Thomas. They've done most of the damage on the ground, and here they go on the ground again. But only a 1-yard gain for C.J. Anderson. Less than 3 minutes to play in the half.
There aren't many defenses that are willing to take on Peyton Manning with safeties that come up towards the line of scrimmage. But that's what C.J. Anderson, Juwan Thompson, this offensive line has done. They've been able to prove that they can run the football. So now you bring those safeties out of the middle and you get those one-on-one matchups. Good luck. That's the reason running the football is so valuable to an offense.
2nd and 9. The play clock at 4. Manning throws, caught on the run, and that is Virgil Green. He and Tammy taking over for the injured Julius Thomas. He's out of bounds with 2:05.
We've seen these gyrations before, but this is about as frenetic as we've seen it. He gets up there and he doesn't like it. Whatever he does, it works.
They wind the clock. That takes us to the 2-minute warning, 17-7. Denver now, 2 minutes to the half. Sanders, that's enough for a first down, and out of bounds at the 37-yard line is Emmanuel Sanders.
It's amazing. We talked about it, though. Single coverage on the outside because of their ability to run the football, and it is going to be extremely difficult to cover. This is a rookie. Phillip Gaines out there on Sanders. It's not going to happen. So if they can't stop the run with 7, they're going to have big issues.
4 catches now for Sanders with 42 total yards. From the 36, Manning deep downfield, and the receiver falls down. Sanders says, where's the flag? Well, there's a flag at the 22-yard line. So contact made there. Walt Coleman checks it out, and here's the call.
Prior to the pass, holding, number 23, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Rookie out of Rice, Phillip Gaines.
They're going right after him. Let's see if the feet get tangled or if it really is interference. That is, looks like their feet got tangled up, and that was unintentional. In theory, that doesn't count.
From the 31.
And coverage again.
And Peyton going deep again, and that's incomplete. That time the coverage very good. That's Gaines again on Sanders, 2nd and 10.
Well, I can remember the last time we did the Broncos and the Chiefs. It kind of came down to this. They got them into this one-on-one coverage, and then they just kept taking deep shots down the field. Peyton knew all along. He looked left just to influence the safety a little bit, but he's going to take his speedster on the outside every time in that situation. But let's give some credit to the rookie, Phillip Gaines, right there.
And there he goes again, and that's incomplete. And that's intended for Latimer. Cody Latimer, rookie out of Indiana. He's covered by Sean Smith.
Well, take a shot at the other guy now. Sean Smith on the outside. He's tall enough to be able to battle this one, but we'll see Peyton. He'll do this every time. Lock that safety in a little bit and take his shots. They may do this 10 more times if this is the defense they're going to play against these receivers. Wes Welker's had a lot of luck inside.
And the Broncos have been great on 3rd down tonight. Here they are again on 3rd and 10. And they convert again to Demaryius Thomas as he takes the ball to the 14-yard line.
Really good protection inside. Just a little bit of a rush by Allen Bailey, but then you get all these one-on-ones down the field. And without Julius Thomas in the game, Demaryius Thomas really has become the guy in those key situations.
3rd catch of the night, 7 for 10 on the Broncos on 3rd down and 2 for 2 on 4th. And that's caught for a gain of about 2 yards by Jacob Tammy. And now Manning working both ends against the middle. He has a ton of time, and he's going to milk as much as he can off the clock and leave Kansas City with nothing on the other end.
I thought they might take a look at that play. That ball came out. Maybe not.
.35 seconds left in the half on a 2nd down and 6. And that's caught. Thomas tries to spin around. Takes it to the 6. Denver has 1 timeout remaining. And they will take it right here. Broncos through week 12, 64 points in the final 2 minutes of either half. New England 66, so we figure Brady and Manning, who've engineered a couple of 2-minute drills in their time.
And he was just telling them, guys, just heads up, if we get a first down and not a touchdown, we've got to clock this thing, so hustle back.
C.J. Anderson splits wide to the left. Empty backfield, 3rd down and 1. Manning has that one knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Justin Houston got a hand on it, and so Denver will have to settle for a field goal attempt.
Well, Justin Houston's having a nice half here, not getting a lot of pressure, but has made some plays on the edge anyway. Big play by him. They really needed to keep him out of the end zone. That was a clutch play.
So here comes a chip shot, 24-yard attempt by Connor Barth. They're trying to make it 20-7, which he does. Denver will also be getting the second half kickoff, up by 13.
Brilliant young offensive coordinator Adam Gase. Peyton Manning going over plays so Peyton can call plays like this. He's the only one that calls plays. a little donkey kick there, and then that means we're going to throw it all over the place, and don't forget to block that guy and don't bobble the ball, and here we go, and hurry and snap it because it's 2-1. Here we go. And how'd you like to try and coach that guy? Right, Adam Gase, I have so much respect for him because Peyton Manning knows as much as any offensive coordinator, and here he's got to try and go coach him up.
Well, looks pretty good on your resume when you're his offensive coordinator. It sure worked for Mike McCoy, didn't it?
It's worked for a lot of guys around here, but those two in combination, Peyton has a lot of respect for Gase. He really does.
Jim Caldwell was in Indianapolis for many years on the offensive side of the ball, and doing a great job in Detroit. As DeAnthony Thomas takes it back to the 37 with 10 ticks left. Retirement. We said to Peyton last night, apart from a 401k, do you have a retirement plan? So he kind of indicated that, well, he had a 401k, but the way he was talking, I don't see it happening at the end of this year. Do you?
You know what was interesting? Brett Favre at the end of his career kind of said, I kind of got tired of practicing. Went in the games, got a little tired of practicing. Nobody loves practice more than Peyton Manning. And if you've ever had a chance to watch a Denver Broncos practice, he runs the show. I mean, he really does, start to finish. He is in charge out there.
Broncos getting the ball to start the second half. Kneel down here. Yeah, Brett said the games were great, but it was just the rest of the week. So it's 20-7 Denver. And the numbers look like this: 238 total yards to 59. Kansas City was into the second quarter before they even picked up the first down. So dominated by the Denver Broncos, who have scored on 4 possessions. KC was able, though, to convert on a big 4th down play. Jamal Charles got the first down, then made a payoff with a touchdown to Fasano.
Yeah, to just put that in perspective, in the first game with the Chiefs, the Broncos had only 52 plays, the second fewest all year. In this one, in the first half, they've had 41. So almost as many in the first half as they had in the entire game. That's how much they've been dominating time of possession.
Yeah, they ran 41 plays to 17 for Kansas City, and they figured to run a few more too, because they will get the ball. 23 degrees at game time. I think the thermometer is stuck. It still says 23. Only feels like about -10.
We're getting soft.
It is cold.
Where's the dome?
And with the wind blowing, Santos will send this down to the 3-yard line. Omar Bolden's going to run it back for the Broncos. Bring it back out to the 21-yard line. And here's Luis Vasquez, the right tackle.
Luis Vasquez had LASIK surgery. He has to look inside at the ball to see the snap, look outside at Justin Houston, the guy who leads in sacks, and he's done a nice job here tonight. He says that LASIK surgery's really helped his peripheral vision. He's been able to look inside, look outside, and I tell you, the difference with this offensive line with he and Manny Ramirez moving one slot out, still playing side by side, but one slot out has just made all kinds of difference for this offense. So much more effective running the football now.
And Anderson had 80 ground yards in the first half, and they begin with a Manning pass to Demaryius Thomas. Gain of 7. We go to Michelle.
Well, John Fox told me that after opening with back-to-back touchdown drives, the team then had to settle for field goals. He said we have to execute better in the red zone. We miscalculated some down and distances. Overall, he liked the production in the first half, but he expects better here in the second half.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Michelle's earning her keep tonight.
Oh, man.
Night like this.
She doesn't appreciate us complaining.
Second and 3. And with the wind picking up, Manning throws one that wobbles in the wind and is incomplete. Intended for Emmanuel Sanders into double coverage, 3rd and 3.
Boy, he just took a shot, and that was not good. Ron Parker sitting right in the middle of the field. Peyton thought he was going to pump him off, but Parker really didn't move, and this is just a free interception. Eric Berry made a pretty good living with that. Give a little credit, though, to Emmanuel Sanders knocking that one away. That was a break for Peyton.
Third and 3 from the 28-yard line. Play clock down to 2. And Manning is hit. The ball is loose at the 23-yard line. And it's going to be Kansas City's ball. Justin Houston. Big takeaway for the Chiefs. Huge takeaway.
It took a long time, but finally off the edge, the #1 sacker in the National Football League, Justin Houston, turns the corner. Tamba Ali right there beside him. And give a little credit now to this secondary, because they were talking about it earlier. They just had to make Peyton hold it one beat longer, just one beat longer, and they could get there with the pass rush. There was the coverage. Nice job by Sean Smith on Demaryius Thomas and the young man Philip Gaines, who has done well there just long enough. Well, what a start here for Kansas City.
Houston gets his league-leading 14th sack, forced fumble. Kurt Coleman recovers it. Then they run the option play here with Jamal Charles taking it to the 21-yard line.
Well, that's how they started the last drive. Now, Jamal Charles was able to get the running game going. Then they went to the play action. Alex Smith made a couple of beautiful passes and get them in the end zone. You get that kind of a break from your defense now to start the second half. You have to capitalize here. No touchdown passes all season to any wide receiver on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Fake to Charles, pass comes to the outside, Anthony Thomas, and he gets spilled by Chris Harris. Nice stop at the 20-yard line.
Chris Harris doesn't do anything unbelievably, but this guy just keeps making plays. You put on the tape time after time, you say, that guy's pretty good. He's pretty good. He's made another play. And now with Aqib Talib out, he sort of becomes much more of the focal point in this defense. He and Bradley Roby been getting it done here tonight.
Now Smith, good protection, fires errantly over the middle. Dwayne Bowe was there and he was free, but the pass sails low and it's 4th down.
Boy, what an opportunity. Smith looks it off, comes right back to where Bowe is. I'm not sure if he just rushed this a little bit, maybe expecting Bowe to sit down in the zone, but that is a big miss.
Now Santos comes in. This will be a 39-yard attempt. He got off to a rough start when he joined the Chiefs early in the season, but 13 straight right now. Crossway. 39 yards, and that one is good. So the takeaway does lead to 3 with 12:43 to go in the third. The Denver lead is now 10. Well, telling you about Eric Berry, and you've heard about him. That mass in his chest that was discovered, being tested now in Atlanta. A little rally for a very popular Kansas City Chief before the game.
And they really were so happy that he came by to speak to the team. Said the team was obviously really shaken by the news. And Eric came by and said, listen, guys, I've got a new opponent now. I'm going to tackle it. I'm going to take this on with everything I've got. But you guys have a job to do, too. Get focused, go win this game. And that's what this team's trying to accomplish.
They're hanging in there. It's 20-10 as Omar Bolden runs it back to the 24-yard line. Kansas City defense with Ali and Houston at the forefront, creating that last turnover, leading to 3 points.
But at least so far, Al, the interior pressure hasn't been there. Bob Sutton thought that the way that they could win this game was with Don Terry Poe right there in the middle. He thought he could whip Will Montgomery, the new center, and get pressure back into Peyton Manning's face. So far, that has not happened.
From the 24, start on the ground, 2-yard gain here by C.J. Anderson, who's on his way to a triple figure night. He has 82 yards on 16 carries.
Alan Bailey right in here, and the linebacker Josh Maga, that time very patient. So far they've been, sometimes you can get too excited as a defense and start trying to play outside of your gap. Just do your job, get in your gap, and don't let them beat you there. A little more patience defensively by the Chiefs on that.
To Sanders on the outside, and Sanders trying to pick up that first down, comes very close as they force him out of bounds at up around the 34-yard line.
That's the other nice thing about having big receivers on the outside. I think that was Demaryius Thomas right there in the face to be able to make that block. Thomas, not only the best guy running after the catch in all of football, he's a monster out there blocking for a guy like Emmanuel Sanders.
Picked up enough for the first down at the 34-yard line. Stretch it out this time with Anderson, and he steps out of a tackle from behind, and a nice gain there as he comes close to another first down.
6 offensive linemen back in the game, but Maga here is going to move this way and the run's going to go that way, so all your pursuit angles are impacted by that. Then you try and come up with the corner, the rookie Phillip Gaines, and he just fanned that 6th offensive lineman, Paul Kornick, able to get the edge against Houston.
Gain of 7 before he stepped out at the 41, 2nd and 3. Feed him again, and another first down is C.J. Anderson, second-year guy out of University of California. They've turned out a few pretty decent running backs there. How about Marshawn Lynch? Justin Forsett having a great year for Baltimore. Shane Vereen went there as well, and C.J. right now with 96 yards, make it 95 yards, and 17 receiving yards and a touchdown. Jawan Thompson is the running back. Manning tells Demaryius to come inside. And the rookie out of Duke to the 48. We go to Michelle.
Well, after his 167-yard outing last Sunday, C.J. Anderson was named the team's player of the week by the coaching staff, and that honor comes along with the king spot parking space in the players' lot. And Anderson told me it's the closest spot to the facility, so I don't have to walk all that way through the parking lot. And he said, who knows whose spot it'll be next. I'm going to try to keep it.
He may. He may, Michelle. He's got 101 yards tonight rushing, and I think Manning's had that spot a couple of times.
Permanent reservation right there.
Thompson to the 40-yard line he goes.
I know we're wearing this out, but this sixth offensive lineman is just making a difference. You've got Cornick able to get the edge, and then you get Manny Ramirez and Luis Vasquez pulling out in front. It has just been efficient all night long.
And there's Vasquez, who has to come off. The new right tackle, longtime guard, started his career with San Diego. Paul Cornick, who's of course seen a lot of action as that extra offensive lineman, and will just move in a spot right now.
Yeah, but now what does that do as far as that sixth offensive lineman? That's what's been so effective here tonight. Would they use a Ben Garland, who probably has not practiced that position?
So Vasquez tries to work it off on the sideline as Manning now on 1st and 10. Takes a snap at the 40-yard line. And they call the rookie Thompson's number again. This is a gain of 4 to the 36.
Sorry, well, here he comes back, so it's really a moot point at this point. But they came in with Jacob Tammy, the other tight end, but Jacob Tammy is really not a blocking tight end. Let's watch Orlando Franklin right here, just getting movement on Dontari Poe. Dontari Poe plays more snaps than any interior defensive lineman that there is, like 88%. And one of the ways they wanted to attack him was long drives, wear him out. So far, mission accomplished.
2nd and 6. Thompson again. Nothing doing this side. Take it down for a loss. Alan Bailey is the first guy to get there. It'll be 3rd and 9 for Denver.
Yeah, and he was going against Luis Vasquez, so let's keep an eye on whatever it is that's bothering Vasquez at this point. He did not move that time the way that he did, and Bailey was able to take advantage. Tough guys up front, but if you have a little something bothering you, these are pretty good players on the other side too.
Anderson back in. Denver feasting on 3rd down conversions tonight.
No help that side against Justin Houston this time.
3 receivers to the left. Manning looking that way. Then he goes to the right side and too high, intended for Sanders, cutting across the field. 4th down for Denver.
Nice job by Luis Vasquez there. You get one-on-one blocks with no help against the top sacker in the league. That was good. Peyton just needed to hit this one. Mistimed that one completely. Kansas City's defense starting to get it done a little bit now.
So Brenton Colquitt, this will be his first official punt. He punted once before, but because of a penalty, they had to punt again. They wound up running a fake. And this punt is bouncing out of bounds. And they'll spot it at the 11-yard line. That's where Smith will take over halfway through the 3rd quarter. Kansas City down by 10. Clark Hunt right there, the chairman, CEO. His father, Lamar, of course, founded this team. Clark has taken over. The Hunt family has owned it since its inception as the Dallas Texans in 1960. And that pass is deflected and intercepted at the 18-yard line by DeMarcus Ware. Off the pick. So Smith on this first play, it's play action as it batted away at the line of scrimmage. Might have been Sylvester Williams. Got a hand on it. Ware winds up with the football.
There he is. We talked about him. Pot roast. Terrence Knight, and watch him get his hands up. Ball deflects straight up in the air, and Ware gets it. Just when you think the momentum may be shifting to Kansas City, the big guy gets that push we were talking about on the other side and makes a huge play.
Well, he deflected a pass on 4th and goal in the first game back in September to preserve the win. And there he is again, and DeMarcus Ware is the beneficiary with the pick, and now Peyton Manning has it at the 13-yard line.
Terrence Knight, a big fun-loving guy, but you do not move him in the interior. Remember him in a playoff game with a big sack against Tom Brady, I think it was.
First and 179. That was the longest current streak in the league. He'd had only 1 pick since opening day when he threw 3 against the Titans. And now Anderson takes the ball to the 11-yard line.
Boy, how many times do you see a turnover and Peyton Manning comes out and takes a shot right in the end zone and goes right after it? But it's kind of a new mentality here. I mean, it really is. And I think the Rams game a few weeks ago when they threw it about 50 times and didn't play so well, and they really all took a good hard look at themselves and said, okay, when we lose, why do we lose? We make big mistakes early. We don't run the football enough. Let's stick to it. Let's commit to it. And in this one, they have.
And they may have huddled in more than any game that I can ever remember Peyton Manning playing. Play fake, ton of time, and that one is thrown out of the back of the end zone. Demarius Thomas was there.
That's a good job defensively. Hussein Abdullah was down around the line of scrimmage, and as he saw this pass develop, he drops right back underneath there, and really good thing Peyton threw that one out of the back of the end zone. Justin Houston starting to get a little pressure. Get on the outside, Demarius Thomas in a one-on-one look. Creeping over is Kurt Coleman to help him, though.
Manning on a 3rd and 8, and that's incomplete. Intended for Wes Welker. He went down, and it's 4th down. So again, the Kansas City defense stiffens when it has to, and at least they'll be able to keep this within a 2-possession game.
Nice job by Chris Owens here on that little out and back in route. Really, Wes Welker probably kept him from intercepting that ball. You get the feeling these two teams know each other really well. That deep crosser, Abdullah was there, and Owens was sitting there waiting on Welker too.
This is a 30-yard attempt for the new Bronco kicker, Connor Barth. Crosswind bangs that one through, so 3 short ones for him. And it's a 13-point game with Denver on top in the 3rd. Smith keeping loose on the sideline on the night when right now the temperature is double deuce, 22. Line drive kick, 4-yard line. And coming back is the rookie Thomas to the 35-yard line. Kansas City sets up shop at that spot, 23-10 at Arrowhead.
This is Sunday night.
And DeMarcus Ware in that animation. And the interception that led to the Denver field goal. 56 plays to 21 tonight. 17 first downs to 4. The score is 23-10, and Charles is able to work his way up to the 40 for a gain of 5.
Alex Smith, pretty classic motion throwing the football. Straight up and out over the top. Can't do a whole lot better than that. Put a clock on this thing, and he comes in about 0.3 of a second, which is as fast as anything we've timed. Tony Romo in that range, Aaron Rodgers in that range, Peyton Manning, all those top end guys, but only 54 yards passing, which is not unusual for this team.
10 attempts. This is a 4-yard gain for Jamal Charles. With 5.5 to go in the 3rd quarter, it'll be a 3rd and 1 for KC.
Big Terrence Knighton in here. And, you know, you probably don't have to guess why they call him pot roast, but he's a guy that clogs things up. That was one of the things that Jack Del Rio really felt like they had to fix here, and that is just have the ability to stop those interior run plays. And right now the Broncos lead in average per play on both offense and defense.
3rd and 1, play fake, and it's read perfectly by Ware. Put it in the stomach of Charles, kept it rolling out, and DeMarcus Ware, 9 years a Cowboy, 1st year a Bronco, stuffs him.
Monster game so far by DeMarcus Ware. It's a pure read and a misread on the part of Alex Smith. You know he wants to try and take advantage, thinking Ware's going to come down and try and catch Charles, but sometimes as an option quarterback, and I've been there. I used to run that offense a little bit myself. It is, you can't make up your mind beforehand. You've got to read it out. He did not there.
That option expired. This is Isaiah Burris at the 20-yard line. To the 28. Expired worthless. 4:07 to go in the third quarter. And Denver with the ball and a 23-10 lead on the road. Well, Peyton Manning against quarterback selected first overall when he started his career 6-8, but since 2002, when he faces an overall #1 pick, 29-3. The only losses: David Carr to the Texans in 06, Michael Vick with the Eagles in 10, and then Andrew Luck in a game we saw last year on Sunday night. He's 5-0 against Alex Smith, and he's 10-1 overall lifetime against Kansas City.
It was interesting hearing Alex Smith talk about the burden he and Eric Fisher, the left tackle, have of being that first overall pick, and that burden's in part because of guys like Peyton Manning.
And Manning falls down, and he'll get fallen upon at the 26-yard line by Dickerson. And we'll get a word from Michelle.
Well, yeah, Chiefs starting defensive end Alan Bailey went to the locker room. He's being evaluated for concussion, Al. So in there for him right now is Vance Walker.
So Walker in there, number 99. 6-year guy out of Georgia Tech. Now he comes out for the moment. And it will be second down and 15 after Manning stumbled to a 5-yard loss. Anderson up the middle to the 26-yard line. Tamba Hali making the tackle. Third down and long.
Justin Houston gives all the credit in the world to Tamba Hali for teaching him all those pass rushing moves of his.
3rd and 12, and it's incomplete, intended for Sanders. Philip Gaines was there. No flag on the play, and the Broncos to punt.
Peyton's gotten away with a couple. That post down the middle, and here's Gaines somehow anticipating this out cut, and he almost had one. That is the second time tonight that Emmanuel Sanders has made a big play defensively to protect Peyton Manning.
Against the rookie Gaines. Britton Colquitt to punt. DeAnthony Thomas sets up at the 30-yard line. It's a low, short kick. Winds up hitting one of the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Broncos wind up with it. It was such a bad kick, so short and low, that Omar Bolden is able to wind up with the football after it touches the Kansas City player.
And one of the disadvantages is those Kansas City players were going down the Broncos sideline. Usually you'll be screaming and yelling over there. There's the contact on the tail end. Marcus Cooper, the one that hit, and it's a live ball. He never saw the football, and honestly, you can't blame him. You don't expect the punt to go there. Good heads-up play by Omar Bolden on the tail end of it to know that was a live ball. So we got the fake punt, and we got that.
So Cooper with the touch to put Denver in possession of the ball at the 37-yard line and give the ball through the middle to Anderson, already in the triple figures tonight. Flag is down.
Illegal formation on the offense. Number 10 covered up the tight end. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
All right, let's take a look at Omar Bolden on this play. Okay, you can say he's forced out there, but does he make an immediate attempt to get back on the field? We saw that call earlier. It's always just a judgment call. Did he make a direct effort to get back on the field? Maybe could have been called there, was not in that situation.
1st and 15 now at the 42-yard line. 2.5 remaining in the third. Anderson. Like a bowling ball knocking down pins to the 32-yard line. C.J. Anderson
Boy, one of the problems that you have when you get an overload to the left, that means your corner, Phillip Gaines, the rookie, now has to be in a position to make this tackle. And he has missed several tonight. So a good strategy here by Adam Gaines. He's overloading left and putting Phillip Gaines in a position to make one-on-one tackles that he's missing.
10-yard gain for the 5'8", 225-pound Anderson. 111 yards tonight on the ground. And a few more here. And we go to Michelle.
Well, Al, according to C.J. Anderson, former teammate Champ Bailey once told him he'd rather cover an opponent than tackle him. And that made Anderson think, if a first ballot Hall of Famer doesn't like to tackle, then most corners probably don't. So I can punish them physically on the first collision, and then the next time, they'll be thinking about me.
And they're thinking about him the last 2 weeks. The Dolphins are. These guys are as well. 115 yards on the ground tonight. He's also caught 2 passes, including one for a touchdown. Jawan Thompson now comes in as the running back, flanking Manning on a 3rd down and 1, and they're going to give it to Thompson, and a first down and a lot more, and the Duke rookie to the 11-yard line.
There you got Manny Ramirez going to come out and kick out just as you think you're in position to come up and make a tackle. There you go. I think that was Hussein Abdullah, the safety, who's been playing up there in the box. And just like last week against the Raiders, they got everybody down at the line of scrimmage. And when that thing pops the line of scrimmage, there's nobody left.
Thompson's gained 39 yards on the ground tonight. To the outside he goes. He'll take it to the 9, and that's going to take us to the 4th quarter. 2-yard gain right there. The Denver Broncos tonight, 164 yards on the ground and 146 through the air. End of 3. They're knocking on the door. 23-10 Denver, and Sunday Night Football back after these messages. This place is held up extremely well. Built in the early 70s. Refurbished it a few years ago, but still one of the better venues in the National Football League. 2nd down and 8. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth with Michelle Tafoya. 13-point game, and the Broncos on a 2nd and 8 from the 9. As we start the 4th with a little pass intended for Sanders as a flag thrown. And Walt Coleman.
Illegal formation on the offense. The wide receiver covered up the tight end. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Second time that's happened in the past few plays.
If you have a tight end on the end of the line of scrimmage here, this receiver has to be off. And that's what the call was. And now it comes down to 3rd down again. So far in this game, the Broncos 8 for 16. The Chiefs 0 for 6.
Well, because of the penalty.
Oh, 2nd down.
Back to 2nd.
But when it gets to 3rd down.
Yeah, when it will eventually. But then again, 2nd and 13. Short drop, and then that's deflected at the line of scrimmage. Justin Houston got his hand on it. So it'll be 3rd and 13.
Well, Justin Houston, they talk about the biggest difference with him was he was always a guy that physically could do whatever he wanted to do. The difference now has been what he's been doing in the classroom. He knew, as well as Peyton Manning, that he loves throwing those slants down here in the red zone, and a couple of times now has knocked it down.
3rd and 13. And Manning dancing to his left and throws high, and that one was almost picked. Intended for Thomas. It's Sean Smith back there covering on the play. It'll be 4th down.
Well, these corners have been doing better since the initial couple of failures. Looked like Sean Smith had a shot at that one. Couldn't really tell, did it? Yeah, just over his hands.
So Barth in his Bronco debut, 3 short field goals, and this one 33 yards to try to make it a 16-point Denver lead. which he accomplishes. 16 seconds have elapsed in the fourth quarter. 26-10 Broncos. Doug Peterson, who was the backup quarterback for many years to Brett Favre in Green Bay and got to know Andy Reid when he was there, and Reid was on that staff, and winds up here with Andy in Kansas City as the offensive coordinator. And he was Andy's first starting quarterback when Andy got the Eagle job in the late 90s.
Yeah, starting to expand what they do offensively now, calling multiple plays and using the strength of Alex Smith, his brain and ability to manipulate a little bit, but start using that arm now.
Niall Davis coming back from the 3-yard line, trying to set him up in good shape. Good run back here to the 38-yard line with 14:36 to go in the fourth. Kansas City outscoring opponents 96-35 in the final quarter, and they'll need a big comeback tonight, down by 16, and they begin with an 11-yard gain for a first down. Jason Avant, longtime Eagle, played in Carolina, talked his way out of there a couple of weeks ago, didn't like the offense, and Andy Reid brought back the guy he knows very well.
Well, they needed something. They only had 54 yards passing in this game. Leading into that one, 66 total yards, so that doesn't change the Denver Broncos defensively, liable to take over the top spot. Not many offenses get held to that number through 3 quarters.
Smith buys time. He can run. He takes off, slides to a stop at the 45-yard line. Sometimes overlooked with a guy like him. I mean, you think about Cam Newton and Russell Wilson and Kaepernick as runners, but Alex has been doing this through the years.
Yeah, one of the reasons he was selected as the top overall pick was his athleticism, and doesn't do it quite as often as some guys, but still I think about 4th among active quarterbacks.
2nd and 5, fires over the middle, and that's hauled in. That'll be a first down. Good looking beginning to this drive. Travis Kelce, tight end, makes the catch.
Well, he's been a find this year, hasn't he? Kelce and his ability to make plays down the field. You just wonder sometimes why they don't give these guys a little more of an opportunity. It is only 3 of 101 games has Alex Smith in his career thrown for over 300 yards.
And he hangs in there again, fires, that's caught, 30-yard line. Taken in, 8-yard gain. Dwayne Bowe making the grab there.
Hanging in there. Old Mike McGlynn was facing a little bit of pressure on that one. I think that was Derek Wolfe. He basically had to give him the butt block to protect his quarterback on that one.
And McGlynn just came out of the game. Jeff Linkenbach comes in to take his spot along the line. It's 2nd down and 2 for the Chiefs. And Smith is flushed out and chased. And he's going to run out of bounds and should have that first down. Alex Smith, since 2011, when he was still in San Francisco, 76% of his passes, 3 quarters within 10 yards, more than 20 yards from the line of scrimmage. Only 7%, 1 out of 14. And here he was this year, 1 completion, more than 20 yards from the line of scrimmage. NFL average is 11%.
It's pretty amazing. I was talking to him about the wide receivers get upset. Not 1 touchdown pass to a wide receiver. So no, pretty relaxed about it.
From the 27-yard line. 5-yard gain. You got a flag here, and you got Smith, who was hit by Von Miller, who is in distress right now. So Miller comes in. You got a personal foul.
The passer, number 58. Defense. Late hit. 15 yards from the end of the play. First down.
Well, that's the good news for Kansas City. Now we have to wait and see how Smith is.
Clearly a late hit. Ball thrown, couple of steps. But now you've got your quarterback in pain, and he was hot. This is a good-looking drive they've got going, and Alex Smith's a tough guy. He used to run the ball a lot, but you can tell that one got him, especially in this kind of weather.
Yep.
You know, sometimes 15 yards is not enough for penalties. If you knock out star players with some of these hits, especially quarterbacks, 15 yards seems cheap.
Smith able to get up. Doesn't miss a play. Takes a snap here from the 13-yard line. And throws, caught, and then trying to work his way into the end zone, and it's Charles for the touchdown. So Smith takes that shot in the back, able to move outside the pocket, and the Chiefs will go for 2.
Working against Tony Carter here, who's in the game because of the injury to Aqib Talib. Nice having a running back that could play wide receiver for anybody.
That's all scoring plays. They check it out. This one will stand. And now to try to make it a 1-possession game with 11:46, they'll go for 2.
Boy, when they have thrown the ball in this game, they have been effective with it. Pretty good by Alex Smith. Come back from that hit.
Wow.
Deliver that big pass.
All right, 2-point conversion here. This would make it a 1-possession game. Cut it to 8. Smith, he's going to come back the other way, and it's going to be batted away. All the way to the right sideline and throws it back, and that's Brandon Marshall who gets back there to cover and knock it away to keep it as a 2-possession lead for Denver, up by 10. 26-16 as the Denver Broncos have led all the way, scored on their first possession. Brandon Marshall, kind of an overlooked guy in the coverage this time, but he's been leading the team in tackles this season. In fact, by almost a 2-to-1 ratio.
Right.
People say Brandon Marshall, you know, this was the other Brandon Marshall, but this Brandon Marshall's been so good. The other Brandon Marshall, the other Brandon Marshall someday. You get my drift?
I do, I think.
Thank you.
Been a long week.
2 yards in, Omar Bolden. Up to the 16-yard line. So Marshall able to break up the play intended for Fasano and keeps the lead for Denver at 10. This drive starts with a great run here again by Anderson. 18 yards. Ron Parker makes the tackle. And for Anderson tonight, 25 carries, 132 yards.
Well, sometimes as a pass rusher, you want to try to get up the field. That time, Tamba Ali was going to take a shot and ended up getting kicked out on that inside zone. Come around the edge, and then right here you get a little punch by, I think that's Emmanuel Sanders, just good enough. A lot to ask from a little receiver, but made it happen.
And then again, hands the ball off to Anderson to the 35-yard line. Again, of a couple.
Well, this offensive line's been getting it done for the Denver Broncos. We'll start with Ryan Clady, back from an injury a year ago. Good job on Dontari Poe. Orlando Franklin moved from right tackle over to left guard, and he and Clady on that run play. Luis Vasquez had a good battle on the outside against their best, Justin Houston. One after another, pretty methodical tonight by the Broncos on a tough night to throw the football.
Yeah, 37 runs to go with the 35 last week in that win over Miami. Meanwhile, Manning using all of the clock, just does get the snap away and then throws incomplete. And again, you had Thomas looking back late, Sean Smith covering on the play, making it 3rd down and 7.
I'll tell you, Sean Smith has been doing a pretty good job. There was no help inside. They ran that little inside guy come out, and Sean Smith had nowhere to go but to try and duck under Demaryius Thomas. A little bit of a slow start for these corners tonight, but give them credit. They have been one-on-one a lot against some really talented receivers and have hung in. They need a big stop right here, though.
Absolutely. Otherwise, Manning will chew up more of that clock on a 3rd and 7 here. And Peyton will throw, and it will be caught by Emmanuel Sanders Down the right sideline he goes, right in front of the Chiefs bench. And again, all night long feasting on third down conversions of the Broncos.
Philip Gaines, we saw it all at the end of the first half. One-on-one, they tried to throw it over the top. Gaines in great position if they threw it deep. But what do they come back with? Nice adjustment. They go back shoulder in the biggest situation of this game so far and get that conversion.
Gain of 23 yards. Sanders now half a dozen grabs for 73. Manning in the pistol. Anderson behind him. Anderson again. And Anderson does it again. Steps out of a tackle. And another big gain for the second year back out of the University of California.
You say, why is Peyton Manning running the football so much? Right here's the safety, Hussein Abdullah. So it was one of the things that Bob Sutton, their defensive coordinator, said. He goes, listen, we're playing against Peyton Manning. There's a lot of people that can hand the football off. If I can put him in situations by our formations where they're going to run the ball, I'll take my chances with that. Unfortunately, the Denver Broncos and C.J. Anderson have been pretty good at running the ball.
Broncos have now run for 203 yards tonight. Juwan Thompson in the game, giving Anderson a breather. They give it to Thompson, and he gets stuffed behind the line of scrimmage at the 24-yard line. Clock ticking down, under 9 minutes to play in the fourth.
One of the really hard parts about playing against John Fox and Peyton Manning is that, you know, you have to sell out to beat Peyton Manning. I mean, you really do. And these receivers and what they can do, and you know, all of a sudden they've put together something in that front with these running backs that it's tough.
And you just know Peyton's going to take the play clock all the way down here, which he does. And then goes for the 6, and it's incomplete. Cutting off his route there was Welker a little bit early. It'll be third down.
You know, it's so nice to have a tight end like Virgil Green, who's been able to come in and almost be an offensive lineman. He's not the guy that's going to be the receiver, but they have lined him up in there tight. And now you have to wonder a little bit, when Julius Thomas returns, do they mix and match that package, and what do they do, because they're playing so well right now.
3rd and 12.
Defensive backs on the field.
Manning. It's Thomas. And Thomas will get stopped at the 19-yard line. So once again, Kansas City's defense stiffens, and they will force another field goal attempt, and this will be the 5th of the night for Connor Barth.
Why not? You get the absolutely best runner with the football after the catch in the NFL. These field goals have been good enough so far, but for Connor Barth, kind of a nice way to enter with a new team, right? A bunch of chip shots. This is going to be the longest one of his night.
Right, 22, 24, 30, 33. And this is 37. We'll try to make it 5 for 5. Bingo. Halfway through the fourth quarter. Denver 29, Kansas City 16 on Sunday Night Football. Anthony Thomas will run that one back to the 24-yard line. Well, you've heard of the Mendoza line in baseball, up and over 200 as the batting average. Here's the Manning line. You score less than 21 points, your team is 4 and 113. You score more than 21, you're 72 and 62. And right now, KC with a total of 16 points, which ain't going to do it.
No, and now they get their pass rushers in the game. You see Malik Jackson in there on the inside, and of course Ware and Von Miller on the outside. So good luck.
from the 24-yard line on first down. And Smith avoids the sack, still on his feet, and then he takes a shoulder from Ward as he crosses the 25-yard line.
I mean, everybody took a shot at him. Von Miller had him first, Malik Jackson had him second, and then T.J. Ward coming up here got him before he could slide. I don't think I've ever seen that before. There's Miller and Malik Jackson. Then right here he tries to slide. It doesn't quite get to the ground.
2nd and 8. That's knocked down, batted down line of scrimmage. Von Miller right there. We go to Michelle.
Well, Chiefs starting left guard Michael McGlynn went to the locker room with a quad contusion. He's questionable, and right now in for him, Al, is Jeff Linkenbach. Something to watch.
Yep, we remember Linkenbach when he was with the Indianapolis Colts one night. Created one of the great replays in the history of television. Not for him, but you know, everybody else sort of enjoyed taking a peek at it. 3rd and 8. And there was movement. Jason Avant right there just joined the team.
81 offense, 5-yard penalty.
Speaking of that replay, poor Linkenbach. That night it was a Sunday night game, and Antonio Garay of San Diego was coming at him, and phew.
I did enough to him that night. I'm leaving him alone.
Okay. So naturally we bring it back. Blame me this time. 3rd and 13. And Smith is going to get swallowed up back at the 9-yard line. DeMarcus Ware is in there again. Derek Wolf is in there as well. And it's 4th down and 25.
I'll tell you, old Brandon Marshall does a nice job, doesn't he? Coming up on the blitz here. Leading tackler, you talked about it, by almost double. Derek Wolf, Marcus Ware. I don't know who they're going to give that sack. They might have to split that one into thirds.
We'll get the official scoring after the punt and a flag. And this is a decent punt that's fielded at the 45-yard line. And Burse with about a 9-yard run back, but there was a flag at the snap.
I think they're going to be happy with the football here.
Yep.
The way those punts come out of that was a pretty good punt into that wind. I don't know if you're going to do a lot better than that.
Number 30 of the receiving team. That penalty's declined. First down.
You are correct. AFC playoff picture right now. Again, New England on top at 9-3 in the East. Denver would go to 9-3. Cincy 8-3-1. And Indianapolis at 8-4. The wild cards of the season ended this very second would be San Diego and Kansas City.
But I think New England has wins over Denver, Cincinnati, and Indy, right? So they get all those tiebreakers to their advantage. But you know, now New England's put himself in a little bit of a vulnerable position. If they were to lose again, and Denver could run out.
So the Broncos 13-point lead, 6 minutes to go. And the ball at the 46-yard line. Anderson again. Well, the word has come down from on high that sack was given to Brandon Marshall alone.
Really?
Yes.
There you go.
That's what they tell me.
Official scorekeepers.
I wouldn't lie to you.
Didn't know they had official scorekeepers in football. I guess they do.
So, you know, the Broncos, it's a little like, you know, we were talking to Pete Carroll the other day, and he said, well, we're just kind of this close right now, and they played great on Thanksgiving night in San Francisco. You almost get the feeling with Denver. They had this little stumble here, 2-2, but what do you think of them right now?
You know, in talking to some of the coaches, they felt like this might be a really good thing for them, that they understood after that Rams game, hey, we can't go crazy. We can't throw it 50 times and run it 10 times. The last couple of games, we have seen the balance come back. And that's one of those things that maybe in mid-season, something that could give them a jumping off point. They felt like last year they had the bad day in the Super Bowl, but obviously too late to do anything. So maybe this early stumble will do them some good.
C.J. Anderson, 2 straight games since 2012. First player with 150 or more rushing yards. Did it last week, and tonight he's going to add a few more here as he takes it to the 41-yard line. Kansas City had taken that time out. They just need to preserve some clock here. Timeout again taken here. So the Broncos offensive line and the adjustments they've made. We had them on opening night against Indianapolis and Denver, and that was your lineup right there. You had Chris Clark playing at a right tackle. And then weeks 7 through 9, you had Corner coming in at right tackle. Then you had Montgomery going to center, Ramirez going to guard, and Vasquez going outside. And they've been running the ball like crazy. So, Chris, we were talking about the offense and what they're doing. They're more balanced. They can run it. But what about defense? They improved their defense this year. Good enough to get all the way?
Oh, I don't think there's any question they're good enough. I mean, you just look at the performance tonight. Not many third down conversions to speak of whatsoever. So you can play defense. I think they're still ranked in the top 5 in the league and #1 in points or yards per play. So, yeah, I think they're plenty good enough.
3rd down and 5 now from the 41-yard line. And Manning, well, coverage is good. There's incidental bumping and contact going up. Flag as pass was intended for C.J. Anderson and Ron Parker with the coverage.
You know that, and you add to it, Al, the fact that Danny Trevathan will come back here, so Keith Talib will be back in the lineup. Plenty of reasons to be optimistic. There's the #1 reason to be optimistic, number 18. But this game still is not over. I mean, we've seen Alex Smith move the ball effectively at times. They just need to put another drive together.
Swirling wind. This is Denver's cold whip. And that's out of bounds at the 16. And you are right, Chris. This game is not over yet. You know what I mean. Now, the division leaders in the NFC, Arizona, Green Bay, and Philly, 9-3. Arizona going down again today to Atlanta, and Atlanta leads 5-7. Seattle goes to Philadelphia. That's a big game, obviously, next week with Seattle and Detroit at the moment holding down what would be the wild card spots.
Yeah, New Orleans and Carolina a little underwhelming so far.
Yes, they have been. So with 45 total points on the board, 29-16 Denver, 5:40 to go in the 4th, and Kansas City will try to effect a good long drive here, and Alex Smith is going to go down again. This is Von Miller chasing him from behind.
Von Miller on the sack.
Well, they've gone through a bunch of offensive linemen tonight. Now Donald Stevenson comes out, and good luck with this guy. Von Miller coming off that knee injury a year ago, and that is, I think that was his first night. That make him 11 for the year now.
Makes it 4 in the game and 11 right for the season. Smith will swing it to the outside to Charles. Jamal up to the 22-yard line before he gets spun down, and we're under 5 minutes to go in the 4th.
I think they might look back at this game, the Kansas City Chiefs, and say, we maybe could have gotten the ball to Jamal Charles a few more times. Got the touchdown pass. They had the one streak there where he had a couple of really nice runs and looked like they might be able to get something going. But in the passing game, sometimes the way they get him the ball in space and let him make plays like that.
Yeah, exactly right. With only 10 rushes tonight for him. They'll pick up a first down here as Travis Kelce. Brother Jason plays for the Eagles, makes the catch.
Well, this is those are the two guys, those two playmakers, Travis Kelce and Jamal Charles. The other guy I'd throw into the mix that I think is going to be a bigger and bigger part of this offense is Anthony Thomas, the great track champion out of Oregon, a guy that can really flash on occasion.
That was the Chiefs' first third down conversion tonight. They're 1 for 8. It's one of the huge differences in the game. Denver's been so proficient. Now you've got the crowd seeking a flag. Tony Carter and Jason Avant were right there, and there is no penalty. Second down.
Right there. Let's see if Tony Carter gets there a little bit early. I don't think there's any question. Did not see that one. The umpire now on the defensive side, and one of the big advantages of having that umpire in there is he can see those catch, no catch kind of situations. Of course, they've planted him in the backfield for safety reasons until they get to the last 5 minutes.
Right, last 5 and the last 2 of the first half. And get a whistle here. Delay of the game.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
One thing we do not want to do is delay the game.
you are right. Right now it is 21 degrees with a wind at 12 miles an hour out of the Arctic Circle.
I'll offer you $20 to come down on the post-game show.
You're right.
Cash.
U.S. $20 U.S.
Correct.
Okay. 2nd and 15. I'll be watching though. Smith buys time, throws, caught up to the 45. It's Jason Avant, the ex-Eagle, brand new Chief. First down.
You know, we watched Russell Wilson put on such a great show the other night. And really, Alex Smith has some of those same characteristics. This is a nice little scramble move, get out of the pocket, eyes down the field. You get the feeling that this offense is just getting to where they're going to be one day.
Pressure again. Smith flushed out.
There he is.
And down, field, complete. And then the ball is loose, and the Denver Broncos wind up with it. Donnie Avery couldn't hold on to it, and then Bradley Roby winds up with the football. So they wind up hitting Avery. That would have been a big first down. And instead, the next thing you know, Denver gets the ball on the turnover.
Avery down the field, absolutely wide open, did a little jumping jack down there, and then Roby, who's, well, that's Raheem Moore, I think it was, ended up getting the hit on the play, and Roby recovered the ball, but can't ask for any more out of Alex Smith. But for Avery coming back from that hernia surgery, that one hurts. It's been one of those nights, right? The fake punt got them, and then they punted, and it kicked off their own player and gave up the turnover there. Then it looks like they're getting a drive going here late in the game, and you get that.
So one team converts so many times on third down as Denver did, and the other can't. That's your time of possession difference, which is almost 2-1. Denver's had the ball already over 36.5 minutes with 3:44 to go in the game.
Get a heavy dose of C.J. Anderson here.
But first, the false start.
False start, number 88, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
It's Demarius Thomas.
Probably goes back and says, I did it on purpose, so we'll throw the ball.
Well, Denver's going to wind up with about twice as many plays, twice the time of possession, and more than twice the total yardage. Broncos have led all the way on the cusp of going in 9-3. Here goes Thompson, and he gets taken down by Houston. And a final timeout taken by Kansas City. So meanwhile, the Broncos can now beat you a couple of different ways. Who would have thought that Peyton Manning would have 179 yards? He hasn't had a game under 200 since the game at New England last November, but he still has his 2 touchdown passes, and he's got that horse out of the backfield in Anderson tonight, who's been terrific. 30 carries for 158.
Yeah, I'm really anxious to see what they do when Ronnie Hillman, and there's James Michael Johnson a little banged up, but when they get Ronnie Hillman and Monte Ball back, C.J. Anderson has been so good. Do you take him out? And I said, well, give me a reason to take him out. Talking to Adam Gase, and he said, well, Monte Ball is probably the best pass protector, but you'd be surprised how good Ronnie Hillman is. So those two guys probably slightly better as pass protectors. Monte Ball there, but C.J. Anderson has just been brilliant with his opportunity.
2nd and 16. Kansas City has used its final timeout. Once more, Anderson. Tough to bring down.
You know, and this offensive line's got it done. But let's give them credit. But C.J. Anderson is finishing these runs. He is not going down with the first contact, second contact, and these are big guys getting their hands on him, and he just runs through those tackles. And now you get late in the game, the defense is tired. Very, very impressive young man for an undrafted free agent.
Well, we make star running backs on Sunday Night Football. We just hope that CJ doesn't miss practice this week.
Good call.
In Denver. There he is. Well, we're talking about Jonas Gray a couple of weeks ago in Indianapolis for New England. And then what happened?
John Fox maybe would be a little more forgiving.
I think so. You're right.
Than our friend Bill Belichick, but of course Bill Belichick had a few options.
He actually
his way.
He didn't miss practice. He just slept through it. And since that 200-yard night on the ground at Indianapolis, he has 1 carry for 4 yards. And LeGarrette Blount has joined the team.
Probably has 10 alarm clocks now.
Yes. They snap it with a second to go on the play clock. That boot will wind up going out of bounds with 2:01 remaining at the 17.
First and 10, Kansas City from the Chiefs.
From the 17-yard line, final play before the 2-minute warning is right now. Smith steps up, gets hit as he throws, pass incomplete. And the 2-minute warning comes with 1:56 on the clock. Denver 29 and Kansas City 16 on Sunday Night Football. Second and 10 at the 17-yard line. And that'll be a 5th sack. Von Miller is in there again.
Well, that's a coverage sack right there. Let's take a look down the field. Chris Harris doing a great job on Bo. Roby on the other side. All over Donnie Avery. And I'll tell you, the one question you had about this team coming in, could they survive without Aqib Talib? Well, if you're going to lose your top corner, this was a good team to lose them against, because the passing game of the Chiefs not able to beat them.
Dual sack that goes half to Wolf and half to Miller. Charles gets smothered there by Brandon Marshall. As the clock runs down to a minute, and it's 4th and 19. So for Kansas City now, they go into Arizona, where the Cardinals, after starting 9-1, are now 9-3. And that's going to be a vital game for Kansas City to win, in light of the fact that they're going to now be trailing Denver by 2, having lost both of the head-to-head meetings, and trailing San Diego now by 1. So on 4th and 18, and Smith is going to run, and not very far, and go out of bounds, and Denver will take the ball, and a couple of kneel downs will probably do it. So Tom Brady is more than 100 games over 500 in his career, and Peyton Manning right now with this victory will be 176-76.
Why do you get the feeling it might just be those two going at it one more time in an AFC championship game?
Well, it wouldn't surprise anybody.
No.
Meanwhile, that goes as a sack, even though Smith ran out of bounds. And that would be DeMarcus Ware, who they give the sack to. They did. That's 6 sacks. Manning tonight, as ordinary as it can get through the air, 17 of 34 for 179. John Fox will fly home after exchanging pleasantries with Andy Reid. Alex Smith gets ready for his trip to Arizona next week. And one C.J. Anderson with 168 yards tonight after 167 last week.